It's the creepy horror movie that has everybody talking. But love it or hate it, Skinamarink is here to stay. Does it deserve all its hate? No. Here's why I think so. Welcome to the very first episode of In Defense Of, a series where I recap different horror movies that I feel may have been too unfairly or harshly judged, and for the very first episode we're going to discuss Skinamarink, also known as Skinamarink. Skinamarink is of course the Canadian experimental supernatural horror film, written and directed by Kyle Edward Ball in his feature directorial debut. Skinamarink follows two children who wake up during the night to discover that they cannot find their father and that the windows, doors, and other objects like toilets, etc. are disappearing. Now, I had heard of Skinamarink. It was something that was requested for myself and my co-host to analyze for our podcast series, The Complete Guide to Horror Movies, but it wasn't something that I was quite excited to watch until a couple of weeks ago when I did finally watch it on Shudder. I found it quite boring, I'll be honest, but there were some very key scenes that actually were quite terrifying, and the overall concept I think is quite genius. Just some notes about Skinamarink. So before the production, the writer-director, Kyle Edward Ball, ran a YouTube channel where he would upload videos based on nightmares recounted by commenters. His 2020 short film Heck was developed as a proof of concept for Skinamarink, and now Skinamarink was also shot on digital in Ball's childhood home in Edmonton, Canada. It premiered at the 26th Fantasia Film Festival in Montreal on July 25, 2022. Went on to screen at other film festivals and I guess general word of mouth copies of the film that leaked online, and especially some of the powerhouse social media apps like TikTok, Reddit, Twitter and all that. It really just went viral before its theatrical release on January 13, 2023, so just over a year ago. The film was a box office success, grossing $2 million over a $15,000 budget, and it received generally positive reviews from critics who characterized it as drawing upon experiences of childhood fear, but the polarized response from audience has meant that this film isn't exactly the smash success, if you'd like. What I will say about the plot is, I feel like Skinamarink is one of those movies that is less about the story, less about the narrative, more about building the atmosphere and the mood, but I just feel that it went way too long. And now, in my defense, I feel that the proof of concept film Heck was a lot better than Skinamarink due to its short time frame. If you haven't watched it, check that out. It's a really good 30-minute, I guess, proof of concept piece. There's some parts in Heck which are very prominent in Skinamarink. What I think Skinamarink does better than Heck is the overall atmosphere. It feels like a whole huge sense of dread. It feels like that childhood nightmare where you've woken up and you can't find your parents and there's a monster in the house. This is something I've experienced as a kid, not necessarily in the same capacity as in the movie where a lot of other people have described it as, but I do recognize that terror. What I think this movie could have really improved upon is just the runtime. Cut it from an hour and a half to about maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, or if you're not going to cut it, fill out the long sequences with something that's just more interesting. This movie was boring. I'm sorry, it really was. If there was more set pieces, if there was more action that happens, whether it's the creature, whether it's the siblings, I just would have appreciated that, because it feels like there's some sequences which you don't want to miss, but because of how boring it is, you're going to sleep through it, or you might just skip it altogether. Or even after watching the movie for 5-10 minutes, you might be like, fuck this, I ain't watching this shit anymore. Where I think critics get it wrong is that it doesn't need to be an hour and a half to build atmosphere. It doesn't need to be 90 minutes to build this world that is absolutely horrifying and evil. There's a lot of great YouTube videos out there that talk about how Skinamarink is one of the cruelest fates. There's a really great YouTube video that explains in depth the entirety of Skinamarink, including all the fan theories such as whether the kid was in a coma and this is just his coma dream, or whether this malevolent entity is also childlike, or why are the windows disappearing? Why is the toilet disappearing? Is this another layer of hell? Which personally, I think this is what this movie is. It's a layer of hell for children, because that was explored in the 30-minute Heck short film. I think there's huge rooms for improvement. I do appreciate that it's one of the most unique films I've ever seen. Everything from the blurred out figures to all the creepy jump scares, even just, I guess, what's depicted on the TV with the public domain cartoons versus what's happening in real life. All the ingredients are there, it just needed to be better cooked and executed. However, maybe if it was done in a more straightforward horror movie, maybe it would be shit. That's something that we can't predict. So, hey, I'm looking forward to the next work by Kyle Edward Ball. If you liked this episode, thank you very much. And if you hated it, go fuck yourself. Bye.